Well, hello and welcome, and the day finally arrived. This was one of the major promises of the government, planting for food and jobs. It has always been known that Ghana's advantage is green. I mean, we can be competitive now in the space competition. We can be competitive now in the auto industry. So ours was agriculture, and agriculture was such a sustainable way for Ghana to develop. Just plant, grow, process it, export, eat, whatever. But it was one area which we absolutely neglected for one reason or the other. And therefore, agri, really went down. And the government has said, look, this is where we're going to employ as many people as we can, export some food or feed ourselves. It's a right move. However, how is it going to work? Once upon a time, there was Operation Feed Yourself, and we all planted something. People with balconies put a couple of seedlings in there. But this is a different thing altogether. People are being selected in selected areas, and particular foods are being selected. We're going to find out who's going to market it, who's going to process it, who's going to eat it. We need to find out what the chain is. There seem to be more questions than there are answers. But whichever way, this is one policy that should succeed, that all political parties come together to make it succeed, because the amount of youth, the teeming youth that are plying the roads, traffic lights, hopelessness is just too much. And that if this thing succeeds, there will be decent and secure jobs for the average Ghanaian. And once there's decent and secure jobs, the devil won't find work for those hands, because they will not be idle. My name is Nana Sakwa. This is PM Express. When I come back, I will introduce my guest.
The Planting for Food and Jobs program is expected to increase the production of maize by 30%, rice by 49%, soybean by 25%, and sorghum by 28% from current production levels. I wish to assure you that all the necessary measures have been put in place to guarantee the success of the program. To ensure that fertilizer is readily available to the farmer at affordable prices, government has reduced the prices of fertilizer by 50%. Government has employed 1,200 graduates from the 5 colleges of agriculture who completed between 2011 and 2015 as extension officers. In 2018, we will employ 2,000 more extension officers, with a solemn pledge of employing more graduates from our colleges of agriculture in the subsequent years. Government intends to construct a 1,000 metric ton capacity warehouse in each of the 216 districts. The purpose of these warehouses would be to handle produce, as well as to store the anticipated surpluses under the Planting for Foods and Jobs campaign. In the Asian experience, the existence of a relatively extensive road network that carries fertilizer and other inputs to the farms and carries farm output to the markets has set them apart from us in Ghana. Ghana government will also expand the feeder road and farm track networks to mitigate post-harvest losses and also ensure foodstuffs are available to customers.
Well, thank you very much for staying. It is easier said than done. I'm sure you're also thinking the same. Planting for food and jobs. With me in the studio, sat right next to me, is Philip Abayori. President, Ghana Agriculture Chamber of Commerce. Philip, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And then I also have in studio Charles Kowe Nyaba, who is Programs Officer for the Peasant Farmers Association. Charles, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, Philip, let me start with you. Clear me comments on planting for food and jobs. What are your comments on it?
Well, my comments are that it's a very laudable idea for the good of this nation, because we have tried for so many times to get our politicians interested in agriculture. And for once, we have a president who has passion for the agricultural sector. He's gone around the country and he sees that this country can only be transformed through agriculture. So we are very pleased that at long last, at least, there is that massive intention and support that is going to come to the sector. One, it's going to increase productivity. Two, it's going to generate employment. And three, we now can boast that for once we can supply industry. If you look in the marketplace today in Ghana, almost 85% of the produce you'll find, which we have competitive advantage to grow in this country. We have land, we have water resource, and we have 60% of our population in the rural areas who I would say the workforce. But the capacity to grow is one of the issues. And some of the issues are farmers being able to access improved seeds, the high costs of agro inputs, low use of appropriate technology, post-harvest losses, which are 40% national average.
40%.
40%. And these are issues that, if you look into the program, you realize that there is warehousing attached to it, which definitely, I think that is to mitigate the post-harvest losses. One thing we hope in the near future should happen is that we should produce our own fertilizers in this country. Secondly, we also hope that we should be able to get to a point that we are assembling our own equipment here to reduce further the cost and become more competitive. But I would say all is good. We hope that this program will succeed, and we're calling on all our farmers and the business community in agro-industry to embrace it, so that together we can build our nation and ensure that we have food security.
Charles, you represent the peasant farmers. What are your thoughts or comments on this program?
Okay, thank you, and let me say good evening to the listeners, especially the farmers who are in Warsaw. The program from the onset, we welcome it, because if you look at some of the issues we've been talking, not today, not yesterday, not last year, last 5 years, but from the onset, we talk about I would like to group the various stages of production and the problems that we've been talking about. We look at production, we look at processing, we look at marketing, and then we look at the end user. From production side, consistently, we have problems ranging from access to inputs, land preparation, extension services. These are critical areas that we've been looking at. So if you have a flagship program like Planting for Food and Jobs, I would expect to see what different is this from the previous program that as a youth will attract me to go into farming. And that's what I will be looking at. You come to processing. Our major problem, just like Philip said, has to do with post-harvest losses and the value that we add to what we produce. Is the program addressing those constraints? So we look at that. Market access. Is it just the intentions expressed in the project document, or what the president promised to do, one district, one warehouse? Will it actually be done? We have 3 months when we start production from now for farmers to start harvesting. How many warehouses have already been done? Have we done any feasibility studies? Have we started cutting soil to construct these warehouses? Or we are hoping that after production, then we will now go there and put them. Because when we produce, where do we put them? Now, one critical area that I was expecting to hear that all other countries, like I did some small analysis of Brazil, Belgium, India, how they use planting for food and jobs to actually revamp the agriculture sector is research. It's very key. Because when you start a project like this, definitely there will be some gaps, some failures. So you need to carry research along. We are not talking about a government institution like CSIR who do academic research, but you have a research system in place who are looking into challenges that are coming up, emerging issues, and coming up with different approaches to address those constraints. That is completely missing. Now, I also done some small consultation with some of our research institutions, like the universities who are doing this kind of thing, whether they were consulted in the design. And then I also look at the technical team, and I realize that there are key stakeholders who are actually mentioned. Those are few gaps that I have identified for now. And I'm thinking that in going forward, for us to have this project to actually be able to achieve the intentions expressed by the president and his ministers, these are some of the things we need to carry on board. Because we, my group and other groups, are key stakeholders in this project. But we have the feeling that we've not been properly engaged, so that we will make our input.
Have you been consulted in any way?
For the launch of the fertilizer subsidy program and this project, no. But we approached the minister when he was vetted into office. We went to welcome him and then presented some of the challenges in the sector to him. And then also many other things that we think that he should do them. But for the planting for food and job, to say that, okay, peasant farmers, how do you want us to carry this on board? What is your input? What do you want to do? That one is no. So we're expecting that at least, if nothing at all, our members are in Goso. There's nothing wrong with that. But at least the national body should have been invited to be part.
Is it, Philip, is that a dangerous thing to do? Lack of consultation for such a massive project, and those who are the stakeholders not fully involved? Because if for any case it becomes their project instead of our project, we are doomed.
You see, this is a government program, and a new government has just come into power, very ambitious, and they want to achieve results. What I have realized in their quest to get this program done is that they haste to ensure that they fill the gaps as fast as they can. So in their planning, they have decided to remove these long conferences that we go in for 2 years. You are consulting people, talking and preparing documents. So that is one thing they have removed. They want to go practically. I happen to just have my ears on the ground because, like, some people are complaining, and it's something they are going to do. They have intentions to involve everybody. The doors of the ministry is opened, and in the district assemblies you can walk in at any time, and if you want to join the program, it's a national program. And nationally, there are good intentions to also ensure that everybody is involved. But you see, the haste at which they're talking about a season which has just started, you need to plant. So I'm sure that is not a deliberate thing that perhaps people are not going to be ignored or not consulted for the little information that I have got. But it's the haste to which this must be done, because we are working against a season that we don't control. So if they want to say, look, they have to consult everybody, stakeholders, you know the system. We've been in this system for a long time when we use 2 years or 3 years just to, or sometimes 4 years to prepare a document for a project to be launched. We know it. We don't want to mention some of the projects, and they never succeeded. So these are some of the things I think we need to bear with them. I'm not their spokesman, but because you see, if you have information, you need to make it available. I know that it's not something that we will be neglected or any stakeholder will be neglected, because this is an open program. It is not going to be discrimination. Because
the Agri Chamber of Commerce, have you been consulted?
Oh, we work with the minister at any time. We walk in, we can see anybody at any time, and we know what they are doing. There's nothing that is being hidden. And as to where they have to gather all of us into one room like we used to do, we've done this before with so many projects. We go consultation for 2 years and nothing is happening. This is a different program, and we have to understand that they have a mandate and then a time to deliver to the Ghanaian people. So that if they are rolling out a program and they have the design of the program, they have made resources available, they are identifying the people while the program is running because of the season, we don't have to say they should stop. Sorry for me to say they should consult us before. We are already involved, and we need to move in to get to where they are and say, look, this is our contribution. This is what we can do.
Philip, before I bring Charles, with the amount of money involved, I mean, it's just like, you know, diving headfirst in the swimming pool. You don't know whether it's deep or not, but look, let me go. If it's deep, fine. If it's not, I'm in trouble. I mean, is that what we are doing?
No, let me just tell you, these are experienced people. If you look at the people behind this program, I do not want to mention it, but they are very experienced people that are in charge of this program. The background of it, you could know that there are people who have been tested, for time. They know what they are doing, and definitely if you look at the plan, 5,100 people are going to be, employed purposely to ensure that the monitoring of this program and to assist the program to be done. We are not saying that while they are doing this, things will not happen, but all I'm saying is that if we see that mistakes are happening, we shouldn't allow them. We should go and let them know that, look, this program is not going well. This is what should be done. If we have a contribution, we should contribute. But I am one person who is against going around doing conferences in hotels. We've done it before. At the end of the day, you prepare a document, it's book long. You have not planted anything, then you want to go and evaluate what. So let us run the program. The only thing is that we should ensure that the program is able to run successfully. Where we realize that they are not doing well, we should let them know. That's what I think we should do.
Charles, you wanted to come in?
No. I'm shocked with my brother's submission. I'm really shocked. Because like he said, this is government program. Then you are telling the rest of us that we should sit on the fence and look at the government to implement. He said this is their program. Because we are seeing it as our program. You understand? So if the program is meant for us, at least we need to make input into whatever you are doing. We are not saying go and organize a big conferences and then go and sit in hotel rooms and do long deliberation and everything. You are launching a program in Goso, and you have key stakeholders who have their members across the country. We are even partners in implementation because we are implementing part of the project. You cannot just go there and we just send a letter. Is too much to delay the project. To me, I think it's a serious error that they themselves will have to reflect about. Now, the point I want to make is, I was trying to give a history of how Brazil did their own. We need to move away from doing business as usual. Let's see agriculture as a business that we will create the environment for people to go there and transact, than for government to push people to go in. What we do is put all the foundations, put all the necessary tools in place, and you allow the youth and other people who are interested, they are seeing it as business, they themselves will go in to invest. Than for you to register youth, you go around the country, advise and let people come in. It won't work. Now let's look at the interest of youth today. Where are youth interested in? Youth are interested in going into places that we use ICT to get results. So if you have a mass youth who are looking for jobs, and they still have to go to a sector that they will have to use hoes and cutlasses to plant, they have to go and do intensive labor and other things, they will not go. So you give them all these inputs, they may either take it and throw it in the farm without taking good care of it, and we are not getting good inputs. I was expecting to see, if you're doing soya, our major problem with soya today is harvesting. Have you come out with a modern harvesting facilities that will help people to harvest soya? If you talk of maize, have you come out with equipments or machinery that will help us to plant? When it comes to harvesting, have you come out with all those things? The only thing we are doing, or which we are all aware of, is provision of seeds and fertilizer. So it means we are still going to do it as business as usual. So to us, this project, though we welcome it, but it's not new, because the previous projects that we've done from Akufo time, you come to Atamis, Jomama, this one is not new. Providing fertilizer and seeds for people, registering people to go and farm, will not make any difference. Our problem on extension services, the approach they are using is completely wrong, and we need to point it out. We have a new project that we want to use ICT or technology to modernize the sector. We are recruiting 1,200 new people who completed agric institution to go in. Now, what happened to the old extension officers who are sitting in their offices? They are not able to get to the farms to monitor. They don't have fuel to fuel their motorbikes. They don't have access to internet facilities and other things to do their work. What are you doing with them? So I was expecting them to extend these facilities to empower those people, provide them with the necessary logistics. Now you attach the new recruits to them. They'll learn for about a year. Then you allow them to go to the field and start delivering. But if you recruit these people, you let them to go there directly to deliver. I don't think it's going to work, because they will go to a place that they don't even have knowledge. There's a difference between sitting in classroom to learn, because agriculture is a professional area that we need people with the knowledge. It's just like you train new doctors to come out. They have to do house master and other things to get the experience before they will be able to do operations. But in this case, we are not doing that.
But do we have the luxury? Because I hear we are so short, and if the program is so wide, just unleash them. I mean,
Nana, the point is that we are trying to succeed.
It's only corn, maize, sorghum. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, so that's the point. We have expanded so thinly, because our recommendations are that, look, use the first year as a pilot stage. Just do in a limited areas, limited crops. Then you'll be able to identify the challenges that you will get. Then you carry those lessons. In next year, you can expand. But if you are starting a program and the time period is very short, you are doing 200,000, you want to target 200,000 farmers within this short period, then you are taking 1,200 extension officers who have no experience, don't have practical experience. What information are they going to deliver to the farmers? So at the end of the day, we're putting so much money, and we might not get the results we are looking for. So I think we need to rethink.
I want to beg to differ. See, this country is a very big country, and I'll even say the amount of money they are putting in is too small. 510 million is not any money if you want to look at averagely to share it among what you want to produce and the outcome of it. And we should expect that in the next coming budget, they say they are putting $2 billion into this program fully to be able to, extend to other areas, especially irrigation, and then also technology. You see, we're talking about increased productivity. They want to increase productivity by 30%. Now, farmers are already producing. They know how to produce. There may be some new people, some even have fallen out because they don't have the capacity to produce. So you're going to have that. You're going to also have new entrants coming in who want to produce. Now take, for example, if you have your 1 acre and you are doing your maize and I want to farm, and I come to you as a farmer, and my farm is closer to your farm, I can plant and I'll harvest. I don't necessarily need an extension officer to come and be standing behind me, but it is good to have more knowledge to be able to do the work. We should not think that agriculture is so complicated. There's some primary agriculture which is not really very complicated. Perhaps you want the person to do things better, he has to plant in rows, those things will follow. But this is a country which has agricultural GDP falling to 0.1%. This is a country which is importing almost 85% to 90% of some produce that we shouldn't. What do we need to do? Every year we import maize for poultry, though we are producing so much maize. Why should I be? Ask the question. So these are issues. So I'm thinking that we should allow them to go, to roll this program. And then we're talking about a pilot. Which pilot projects haven't we done in this country? I don't want to mention the name of the projects. Millions of dollars. At the end of the day, what happens? We are into conferences, we are into meetings. At the end of the day, we even have so much money that we are now going to do research. What kind of research are you going to do to plant cassava? We have our team which came, it lasted for more than almost 5-6 years. we are, as for maize, so many things have gone. We have the records there of what we can do. So we are not a new country in agriculture. But if you talk about wider consultations, I think it is good. But looking at the previous experience where we every day, you know it, there are projects that every day we are into conferences, we don't have to talk. I'm not saying that your concerns of not well consulted and etc. You see, there are issues. But I don't want us to sit on TV and talk about some of the issues. So I'm very, very economical. But we need to discuss this issue as stakeholders ourselves and approach them in a way. You see, when politicians come into office, they mean well. But we have people who also are advising these politicians. And sometimes they may not be giving some right advice in one way and the other. But you may not get there early to be able to give that advice. So we need to find a common way of how to channel some of the good advices that we have so that we shouldn't look antagonistic. You get the point, because you like this program. If fertilizer now has been reduced to 57 cedis, the farmer is going to pay 28 cedis before he gets the fertilizer. And when he finishes producing, he pays with 1 bag of rice to be maize to be able to. It's good. He will increase his acreage. Is it not good? So that is what we're talking about. You're talking about the market. The president has just, explained that there will be one warehouse in every district. That is clearly that.
When?
Oh, no, it's been discussed. You mentioned something concerning those warehouses, and I was very quiet. But I'm not defending the government. No, please. I'm not defending whatever. But I'm very, very happy that for now, we have even the budget of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has improved. When has such an amount come into agriculture in this country? That alone, we should try to support it, to increase the budget. And this program, for instance, if you look at the budget, is pushing money directly to support private sector, which has never happened. So we should be happy. But the issue of warehousing, for instance, today we can construct a warehouse within 30 days. I don't know whether you are aware. There are so many ways of now constructing warehouse. If you go to the National Conference Center, you saw those tents there. Some of them can be used immediately to construct warehouse within 30 days, and you can store food there. So there are so many ways. I think these plans have been put in place. I want us to encourage them. And I want us to support them in one way, any way that we have with the expertise.
But if you think we need a green revolution in agriculture now?
That is what currently we can call this. I think the word revolution is being removed for one or two reasons, but that is what it is. You get the point. And that is why you can see the zeal to which they are moving towards this program. And I agree with him in one way and the other, but I think that, you see, we don't need something good that is going to come. We should need to support it. If there are mistakes or things that are not going, we find a way to ensure that they go right. But these concerns shouldn't stop us to receive whatever is coming to the sector to move the sector. We need to find a way.
I don't know. One of Charles's concern was that you have to have 5 acres or more to be part of the program.
Yeah, that was the earlier information we got. But I think I overheard the deputy minister, was it this morning or yesterday, saying that those concerns were properly received, and that is going to that's not going to be the case. So I think that's good. So, but let me just come to Philip. Let me just make it clear, because somebody called me in Tumu this afternoon that they had peasant farmers are against planting for food and jobs. No, we are not against it. Just like I said, we are implementing one of the projects. The sorghum project, we are producing some and supplying to Guinness-Ghana, and we are already in the preparation stage to sign contract with Guinness-Ghana. We welcome the project; it's good.
So you have a central buyer to
supply the sorghum too. But the point we are making is that we are all trying to prevent the project failure. So it's always good for you to point out some of these weaknesses, so that if you can carry them on board. Because this is just the government is just 100 days in office. There is still opportunity or space for them to correct some of these errors that we are talking about. So if you are making these concerns, it doesn't mean that we are against the project or we are not welcoming it. We just want all of us to carry them on board so that as we go along, we'll be able to address them.
I'm going to take a quick break, and then when I come back, I want to find out, well, I'll start with Philip to find out, how did Operation Feed Yourself work? At the time, was there that apprehension, or did we all just embrace it and run with it? Stay tuned.
The
The overall objective of Planting for Food and Jobs is to produce enough food to feed the nation, export the surpluses, reduce the excessive food import bill, and generate employment for our fellow citizens. A primary concern of the campaign is to create jobs for the teeming unemployed youth in agriculture and allied sectors. Both private and public institutions are being called upon and encouraged and supported to set up their own farms. Institutions like the breweries, the food processors, schools, colleges, and prisons are all being encouraged to establish their own farms. In subsequent years, the campaign will be expanded to include industrial and other cash crops and the livestock subsector. Planting for Food and Jobs will focus on 5 key crops this year: maize, rice, soybean, sorghum, and the selected vegetables. This year, the campaign will be focused on a selected target group of up to 200,000 farmers in all 216 districts of the country.
Well, very, very ambitious. Thank you for staying. But before we come back and comment on that, I think it just ties into that. Now let me start with Philip. Philip, I know, you know, in the days of Kutu Achampong, the nation went, that was I think our last green revolution. And that one was themed Operation Feed Yourself. This is Planting for Food and Jobs. I think they should have found something that sings, you know, but everybody jumped into Operation Feed Yourself. I remember planting, you know, that cocoyam, that the one that goes in the really muddy areas.
Yes, water, they call it sometimes water yam.
Yeah, water yam or something, cocoa. Yeah, you know, I planted some during the Operation Feed Yourself. And, you know, every now and then we used to go and have it and fry it. And
it
was very nice. So that was my contribution to Operation Feed Yourself.
It also did reduce your lunch sometimes.
You know, and
you were saving money.
There were these shops, you know, and then they'll bring the food there, and then every area you need to go and. Did that work? And how did it work?
It worked successfully because food distribution was there. So if you look at the model currently, the warehouses are going to be put in place, and definitely there's a marketing component. So the same thing as of Operation Feed Yourself, the market systems were there. So whilst farmers were producing, there were food distribution will buy the products, store them, and then distribute them across the country. This was not limited to only crops, but it went as far as even to livestock, where you have the cattle development board, you had where they were producing corn beef. I mean, so many things really happened. You have the fisheries sector, fisheries corporation. So these initiatives were embodied with post-harvest management and then handling. And looking at the program, it goes in line with that. So I know, this is a medium, the short term, if you look at the presentation, the medium term will come and the long term will come. So I hope definitely the resources will be made available for us to ensure that this program succeeds to create the needed employment opportunities. I'm very, very happy that we should be able now to produce enough for industries to thrive, because if industry is able to thrive, we will add value. And that's where more jobs will even be created. That's where more revenue will be created, and that it will be demand driven. Industry will now be demanding for production to increase. So we are all for it, and we hope that this program should succeed and more resources should be made available. It is not the total end of it, because much needs to be done. Now you're talking about fertilizer and seeds. We need to now look at technology. Land preparation is one of the issues, because we need to ensure that we are able to clear more land and then make the land more, arable. Because if you look at sometimes the way we even approach our land preparation and our systems, I think we need to improve that too. And that also needs some support to come, where we need to relook at clearing land, making the land, farm ready, so that at least easy, accessible for farmers to be able to, to do their work in a more proper manner. So I think all is good, and we hope for the best to come.
Charles, with Operation Feed Yourself, it's just, look, identify something and you just go and plant it. So as young as I was, I identified it as water yam, planted it, there was plantain, there was always corn in the backyard.
Rice, everything, rabbits.
But this is very government-led plus, you are part of it, you are not part of it, you are part of it. So what's going to be this success rate compared to Operation Feed Yourself?
You see, I think the difference between this and the Operation Feed Yourself could be the approach, where we are calling people on board to come and do it. But I think we should go beyond that, and then we let it be demand-driven, just like Philip said. If you come to urban areas like Accra and Kumasi, and then Takoradi, Tamale, and all this, what is our major problem when it comes to access to food, especially vegetables? Because there are people in Accra who swear not to buy cabbages, carrots, and other things from the market because they don't know the source of these vegetables. Because the water is from gutters and other drainage, which is not healthy. Can we do that by our backyard? Today we have problem because in the 70s, if you come to Accra, we have farmlands. Go to Asoma today, all the lands have been taken by estate developers. Even if you have your land in an area, the space is not enough for you to use for backyard garden. So we might be thinking of doing what do you call it? Green agriculture, where you have your small containers, then you plant that in. But that will not be enough. I want us to look at not only the production, but producing sustainably. And that has been the problem. And it's also missing in the project design. Because climate change is here with us. The pictures that you've seen, you saw that the maize were dried. Today, when you go to most of the maize growing areas, like Techiman, Kintampo, Nkranza, Ejura, Wenchi, and those areas, people are not growing maize again. They are all shifting into cashew because there's not enough water to cater for maize production. Now you go to the northern Ghana where we used to have 4 or 5 months of rains, we have less than 3 months today. So what are we doing to also address the issue of climate change? I expect to see that in the project design. So I'm tempted to believe that one dam, one village will cater for that. Yeah. But that's a long-term plan. So what we need to do in the short run or in the medium term is to begin looking at other interventions that will make water available. Collection of water, drip irrigation, and stuff like that.
That how much is Galamsey affecting this? Because this project depends on rivers and land. And here we are poisoning every available water.
Galamsey, apart from even destroying the water bodies, all the farmlands around areas where Galamsey operation is taking place have been taken by Galamsey operators. A farmer will be on his farm. We had several calls. Farmers are on their farm before they realize the farm has been sold to somebody. The cocoa trees and whatever is there is cut off, and then the plot is used for Galamsey operation. So it's actually affecting our productivity. So if you want Operation Feed Yourself to work today, I think we need to look at all these things. So it should be a holistic approach. We look at climate change. How can we produce sustainably? How can we reduce deforestation? How can we curb Galamsey operation? How can we minimize the use of agricultural land for commercial activities? All these things need to be taken care of. Otherwise, the land that we are going to use to grow and feed ourselves are the same lands that we are using for these commercial activities.
Philip, how Galamsey, how could he affect the success of this?
You see,
has it been thought through?
Galamsey has caused a lot of havoc to farmlands. And I'm very pleased today. I was listening to news and almost getting to 500 excavators or some. These huge equipments have been retrieved from the communities. One thing I don't understand is that one of that machine, the destruction of what excavators can do, shouldn't have been the kind of recommended machines that are supposed to be used for such an operation. And I think that we'll make some legislation, no matter what we are going to do. We are not saying that people should not mine, but why do they mine in the water bodies? Why do they destroy the land? Because in the mining law, you destroy the land, you reclaim it. Why are they not reclaiming? Who is supposed to be responsible to ensure that when you destroy land used for mining, you are going to reclaim it so that crops can be planted on it? So I'm happy to see currently that there is this particular zeal of the government to ensure that that menace is curved. We know that those that are into it is business that they are doing, but they should do legitimate business, do it very well. When they finish doing their mining, they should have reclaimed the land. And this, I think, is a very good thing that we need to support the government in any way to ensure that we protect our water bodies, we ensure that land for farming, we don't destroy crops for galamsey purposes. We should rather encourage the galamseyers to join this planting for food program as an avenue for jobs, increase their productivity, make some money, because they are not even making so much, they themselves who are working as workforce. It's other people who are gaining. So we want that to happen. But I want to come back to Operation Feed Yourself. As you said, it was different. There are some differences, but we believe that this program will grow and some of these things will be added. We talk about private sector participation in Operation Feed Yourself. You realize at that time there was a law that the banks, all banks in Ghana, should use 20% of their loan portfolios to finance agriculture. It was a law, Bank of Ghana. So if I need any money to go and farm, I don't go to government, I go to the bank, and you have to give the money because government has given that quota, that is what. So we need to get to a point. Can eventually private sector, large scale or medium scale farmers, can they have access to finance in a very competitive rate to also expand? So that at the end of the day, because we cannot sit down and fold our hands and think that government should be doling money and putting into agriculture, because how long can this sustain? So we need to look at that, and I think that definitely that should be one of the next step of the exit. We call it an exit point, so that if we could have funds for short, medium to long term, the short gestation crops people will go for this short low facility. Those that look at going for medium term will go, and long term too, you could borrow money for that. There have been so many initiatives, but looking at it, it didn't make any impact because of the implementation. So we hope that these things will come on board so that agriculture will be a job, a real business, but not for mere subsistence when people think that they are just going there to sustain themselves, but it should be a business for job wealth creation. And then also people will do it not just that they want to do it, but they know that it's a good business. But agriculture is really a good business.
Charles, they haven't added any tubers. I mean, it's maize, rice, sorghum, soya. Would you have wanted to see, I mean, maybe one tuber added to the program?
To me, I'm one person who believes that we need to focus. We need to be focused than to spread thinly. So I don't really have much concern with not adding tubers. But, you know, there are other programs. The 5 crops that the minister listed are those crops under planting for food and jobs. But there are other programs like the normal fertilizer subsidy program that can also cater for other areas and other interventions going on. Now, the other area that I want us to look at as part of planting for food and jobs is sustainability of the project, just like Philip said. Government cannot continue every year importing fertilizer, importing seed, and supporting farmers. We should put in a mechanism that even without government support, at least we are able to see the sector as a business, and then we go into do business and make profit for ourselves. So how do we do that? One major constraint we face today, making many people not interested in the agriculture, has to do with where to get the funding. Access to credit is a problem. Access to information. Where are lands available for people to go? There are many people who come to our office. Charles, we want to farm. If you want to farm maize, where can we go to get land? Do we have land banks? Today, it's easy for investor to go to a place that they need land to set up industries, they need land for galamsey operation, than to a farmer in the country looking for land to farm. So we should try to develop our land policy so that we are able to demarcate agricultural land. You go to most areas, especially Western region, and all agricultural lands have been taken for commercial activities. So that's an area that we need to look at. We should also come out with a policy that will ensure that the interest rate that we take is reduced. Many people, not only smallholder farmers, businessmen are running out of the country because of high level of interest rate. So if you're able to bring the interest rate, you go to Ethiopia and the interest rate is 9%. You go to Kenya, it's 11%. But you come to Ghana, it's over 37%.
38.
You see, it's very difficult for ordinary person or a beginner to go and take this credit and use it for business. So I will be looking for a situation where government will come up with a policy that will compel banks, if they are not even giving loans to commercial people at a lower interest rate, but anybody who is going to agriculture, and there's evidence.
I mean, if I have my money and you ask me to give it to a farmer, he's going to plant, let's say, pepper. What if the peppers don't bear fruits?
No, so we also have agriculture and so on, but that's a different area altogether. But what we need to do is that, look, the government cannot force the banks all the time, but we have a lot of money we are investing in the agriculture sector. Can we say, direct the resources to this person, I will pay for the interest if it even becomes difficult? Government can cater for the interest.
Phil, let me hear Philip. Because
you see, what we are saying have happened in this country just quite recently. But you see, as a country, we need to be serious in some of the things. And that's why I'm saying that if things are happening and they are not happening well, immediately we need to ensure that we bring it out. There was a time, if you know, about almost 11 years or 12 years ago, we had advocated that there should be an agricultural fund, if you can remember.
Yeah.
And at the time, before the exit of the MPP Akufo's regime, they had put it in the budget to create that fund for the fund before the MPP left power. Then a new administration took over and decided not to create the Farmers Fund, which was supposed to be a fund that we thought that if we were able to raise money like the GET fund into it, it could then be used to leverage the bank directly, purposely for agriculture. EDIF then was purposely for export. They decided to do a legislation to merge the two together. I think you are aware.
Yeah.
And when they merged it together, how much money went to agriculture for production? But it was money that you could borrow at 12%. But you need to go through your bank. The monies end up in the banks, lying down. The farmers or whosoever, if you want to do industry, you go and apply. It was so cumbersome to the banks, the frustration involved. So at the end of the day, it was good. We had EDIF there. What did we achieve so much? We didn't achieve the desired result. They even came that they decided to say that it is for not for what they call maize or any other crops, but it's for long-term exportable crops. So even if you wanted to go and do a very large maize farm or rice farm to reduce the imports that we are importing, you were not eligible to get the money. But if you wanted to go and produce mango for export or any other thing for rather export, you can get the money. But this was an export development fund. We knew it was there, and we said, create a farmers fund. So you see at the end of the day, the farmers were given a raw deal. Go and produce mango, which perhaps rice is your expertise. We don't have to be doing this to our own country. We need to allow things to flow. If somebody comes and says, look, I want to do rice, he has the expertise to do rice, I want to do cattle, let him go and produce for the good of the country. Don't sit down after government has put the things in place, then people go and sit down there and do whatever. At the end of the day, if you want to do an inventory or try to do an evaluation, you realize that it's a good thing which didn't, help the agricultural sector. Now we are going to a vicious circle to tell government again, go and create another fund. Go and tell banks. Government is already there. Now, EDIF has been turned to an exempt. You see, all these things that we are doing doesn't help the country. And we want to call, a spade a spade. Let this country work. Let institutions in the country work. Anything at all that we want to do, let us do it as a nation for the benefit of our country. If EDIF succeeded in releasing money for farmers to do commercial farming, today planting for food wouldn't have come, because we would have then produced enough they would have then been putting money to establish industry. It didn't happen. You see, so these are issues that need to be addressed. We planted the mangoes. Some of the mangoes are not even flowering. I'm not saying it's not a good thing to do, but is it not? Do we eat mangoes as food every day? It's a good thing. So we should be looking at priorities. So that's why I am for this program, thinking that we should allow it to succeed and then find a way to make sure that eventually the private sector is able to roll over when government perhaps is facing out, so that we can at least ensure that we have more raw material for our industry. We should be able to reduce the import to the barest minimum. Why do we have enough land and then we are importing so much rice, tomatoes we import, oil we import. Every single thing we are just in the importation. And then to the end of the day, our people cannot afford to buy what we are importing because they don't have jobs. But if we produce ourselves, we'll eat some, we'll sell some, then we'll add value to some. That's how a country should behave as a nation.
750,000 jobs is what they're expecting to create. Let me go to Charles.
Yeah, to me, I think it's possible because if you look at the various stage of agriculture, from production, we have the new farmers who come on board, and direct recruitment the government is making is 1,200. That the new extension officers who are coming on board. If we are able to produce the quantities that we are talking of.
So the extension officers that are already existing are not part of the project?
No, they are now recruiting 1,200 as part of the project.
Okay, but the ones that are existing?
Yeah.
I mean, there's Felix in my Adumasa. We have, mine is Felix, very effective extension officer.
Yeah.
Is he part of the project?
Nothing has been said about that.
No, they are.
So,
So the program cannot be running without extension officers. All they are doing is to add in more people to be able to, to ensure that there's more monitoring and evaluation. I don't think anybody is being out of it that if they are running the program, it's running in this district, you are an extension officer. You
will still do your work.
You have to do your work.
But there's no direct target. Like this 1,200 that we made provision for them, we are going to give them motorbikes and other things to go out there and do. The existing one, there is no direct resource allocation for them.
But they are already doing their work. Who should give you them resources?
Yeah, so it's a question
if you tell me that
well,
the planting for food program is not now, it's not a project that will have to come and then you are already an extension officer, you are collecting your salary. If perhaps your motorbike, you need a new motorbike,
just apply for it,
that I can agree. If perhaps there's something you need something to be able to increase your efficiency, that I agree.
Well, thank you very much, but the conversation has begun, the jury is out, and I think the bottom line is that we have to make it work. Whether there are loopholes or challenges, we need to fix it because there are too many idle hands and our potential is just lying fallow. I want to say thank you so much to Charles, Nyaba, and Philip Amare for coming. To you at home, thank you for watching. Tomorrow, we'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you very much.